Today we are going to discuss about the upper GI endoscopy. This video was sent by Dr. Royson from Gudalur Adivasi Hospital. And what are the common indications for doing upper GI scopy? This is considered a screening test. Any test which gives about 3% positivity is considered a screening test. And in many areas, the gastroscopy or upper GI scopy can give up to 10 to 12% of positive findings, especially if you do it for symptoms. And almost any upper GI symptoms, like any dysphagia or feeling that food is getting stuck, or any burning pain, vomiting, and especially if there is blood in the vomiters or black colored stools, or even if you just feel full after eating. All this can be due to some problem in the upper GI tract. And it's important to learn how to do upper GI scopy, especially if you're staying in a rural area. And these signs, what are called red flag signs, are signs which indicate malignancy. So this is progressively increasing dysphagia, or if there is any loss of weight, or a patient is unable to eat despite having a good appetite. And if there is blood in the vomiters, these are very important because they could be due to malignancies in the upper GI tract. This is because normally it's a very elastic structure, both the esophagus and the stomach. And it's a peristalsis which moves the food down. And if there is a malignancy, it prevents this or interrupts peristalsis. And this is what leads to many of the symptoms. And although many people would like only the gastroenterologist to do it, it's a procedure which is fairly easy to perform and easy to learn and train others. And we don't generally use sedation or anesthesia for scopies. And detecting the lesions very early, whether it's in the esophagus or stomach, can make a difference between life and death, whether you do a curative surgery or palliative surgery. And another important thing is with nowadays, we can get good pictures from these scopies and record them to see how progress is there. And most of the preparation is that we'd like to have the patient on empty stomach. So we prefer to do it in the mornings, make them fast overnight, maybe skip the meal in the night. This is because once stomach is full and a lot of food particles, it's very difficult to have a good look at it. So it's preferable to be on empty stomach. And the other thing is that if they vomit and they don't aspirate. And as mentioned earlier, we generally try and avoid using sedation, especially in older people, because it can depress respiration and can cause problems. All we use is local anesthetic spray. This is adequate for most people. Then it's important to learn how to hold the scope. You should hold it in such a way that you're able to comfortably hold it in one hand, and also be able to operate the various dials and have the other hand free for taking biopsies or flushing and all those things. And you need to realize that this has a fiber optic light source and cable for transmitting the images. So it's not good to bend the scope as much as possible. So once you're ready, the patient is made to lie down. And it's important to have a mouth gag so that they don't bite the scope. And most of the right-handers prefer the patients to lie down on the side with the right side up. And usually it's good to have a nurse to assist. And the nurse generally stands behind the patient to hold. And passing the scope, it's important to do it gently, especially be supervised by a nurse. Most of the nurses, they're quite comfortable with passing a NG tube. In fact, in many of the mission hospital where we worked, it are the nurses who do the scopies. because they're very gentle. They know the curves, and they take their own time and make the patients feel very comfortable. The important thing to remember is that you should not blindly push anything. Everything, all the movement has to be gentle and under vision. And while pushing it, it's most of the time it's a collapsed tube, the esophagus. So you need to inflate with air, and if necessary, use suction to make the vision clear, and then pass it. So the first landmark you'll probably see is the gastroesophageal junction. And here you need to wait for a while to look for reflex, or if there any change in mucosa and so on. And then you have a look at the stomach. First thing which will be obvious is the pyloric end. Then you look along the lesser curve, greater curve. And it's important to bend the scope so that you look at the esophageal end again. And here in the picture, you'll see the scope coming in through the esophagus, bending, and then having a look at the top. This way, you should make sure that you don't miss out any area. If there is a malignancy or something, it can be an early lesion, which is small. Another important landmark is the duodenum, because duodenal ulcers are fairly common. So you see the pyloric ring, as you can see here. And then you need to go close to the pyloric ring and stay at the pyloric ring. Here, because the breathing and the magnification, you'll see it keep moving quite a bit. And the pyloric ring also is normally closed, and then it slowly opens. So the trick is to stay at the ring and then push it in once the ring opens. And then once you make sure that everything is normal, then you need to remove the scope. So here, before removing it, you have to make sure that the scope is totally straight. And then again, gently remove under vision. And what are the difficulties? The most common difficulty is that both the esophagus and the airways is fairly close near the mouth. So as you can see in the picture, you'll first see the vocal cords, and you don't want to go into the respiratory system. So then what you need to do is to go to one side and then come back to the center once you go past the area. So here, this is the side, and then you come back. So this is how a clear picture of the vocal cords and the respiratory system that you can see. And this is a normal esophagus. Here again, you need to wait for it to see how it closes, whether any reflux of gastric contents. And also there is a change in mucosa here. So you need to make sure that there are no abnormal mucosal changes here. So these are early malignancy lesions, may not be early also. So these are malignancies which you look for in some of the areas like Northeast, where people chew pan and tobacco. The cancers of the esophagus are very common. So you should not miss those lesions. This is how a normal stomach looks. And this is how a normal duodenum looks. And once you enter the duodenum, you need to remember that because it's very close to the camera, you may not see anything, you just might see red. So then you withdraw a little bit and then clear the scope, and then you'll be able to see the rest of the place. This is some inflammation of the esophagus, we call esophagitis. This is if there is pyloric stenosis and gastric outflow obstruction. This is how it will look.